We were just talking briefly about the World Juniors.
Yeah, I haven't watched the game.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I didn't get it. I tried to. Didn't. Too much shit going on. You know what? You know what it was too, because like you could watch it, but if the group isn't into watching it, then they're not watching it. So I kept up with like kind of the scores and stuff, but I didn't get to watch any games. Canada lost.
Yep.
So that'll be probably their worst finish since Eki played, I think.
Yeah, maybe
because
it's been a while.
They finished sixth, I think, his year.
Yeah, I don't know. They lost in the quarterfinals, so it's about
same
6.
thing. Yeah.
But they were just kind of missing something this year. I was just thinking about it because they had a lot of younger guys, a lot of 18-year-olds. It's typically a 19-year-old tournament. You can make excuses or whatever, but the bottom line is that you got a bunch of those guys that could be on the team that are in the NHL, but you'd think Canada has more players to pick from. I think there could have been other choices. Of course, I thought that. Everybody thinks that, but they competed hard, I guess. And but that's the question. I was actually thinking of doing a podcast about it today. Was Canada was the superpower of hockey, and are we still? That's the question. And I really think that over the years, it's kind of like when we just break down youth hockey. Is the best team because of the development and everything, they're doing things right, or is it because they have the best hockey players? And I think, my opinion, is that over a long period of time, Canada just had more players, and you could put 25 guys together and most likely going to be the best players or best team. But in the last, let's say 20 years, the way the U.S. has, Wayne Gretzky moving to the States and it exploding down there, and you got kids playing college and youth hockey has exploded in the States, and there's more U.S. hockey players than there ever have been, obviously. Maybe even more than Canadian. I don't know what the numbers is. But now, and they have a good development model, I think. Whereas, and they're just exploding with really good hockey players. Like, it's exploding. Like the U.S. team is really good. Sweden's really good, which brings me to the other point is that they're doing something in the development that I think we're not. I mean, we were watching the game against Sweden, and I was with my kid, and I said, it's almost like Sweden is like, kids here want to be goal scorers. And I'm not saying that they don't want to in Sweden, but it just seems like the pride, the best hockey player wants to be a good defenseman. They're so freaking good on D. Like, so impressive. It's almost like that's the pinnacle of being a hockey player in Sweden. So anyways, my question is, in Canada, have we like, how do we pick that team, right? We pick it by kids go to their major junior teams or colleges, and then they pluck them out for 2 weeks. Whereas the U.S. has the U17, U18 program where they have a developmental model. The ADM, I think it's called. They have a system of how they want things done, and maybe it works, or maybe it's just they have more players now. And then, but you look at last thing, and then you look at the European countries that you have club systems, so things are done a certain way, and it might be done better than it is in Canada now because we were just the best hockey nation for a long time. Russia, Soviet, that was another one. So anyways, I think it's a really good opportunity, not to get all weird about it, but I think it's a good opportunity. I think anytime you succeed or fail, I think it's a good opportunity to look at why it worked or why it didn't. And I've been saying it for a while. I think things have to be done differently here in Canada.
I would agree. Like, I think, so I just pulled up, we looked at this once before, but I just pulled up like number of hockey players, number of registered hockey players. This is from 21-22, so not 100% recent, but close enough. States, 551,000. Canada, 513,000.
So have more in the States now.
More in the States.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, they have more people overall.
Yeah. And they're popping up in places like Texas and California.
Their college system is freaking amazing and all that. Next after that is Russia, which is 103,000. So quite the drop off. Finland 66, Sweden 61, Czech 34, Switzerland 29, Germany 21. So like you're talking Canada, US are 5x the next biggest, which is Russia, and then Russia's 3x Czech, or the Czech team, right? So Czech beats Canada in the quarterfinal, and that's not like two evenly matched teams that just played in Czech won. It's like Czech is by but like whatever metric you want is a crazy underdog. You know what I mean? Just by population of what they get to pick from alone. So to your point about, Canada, why are they always one of the top teams? Canada US, that's the final game in most tournaments. Why is that the case? And it's like, well, yeah, they have way more population to pick from. So can they get away with poor development practices just because they can make up for it with population? And you see this, we could, like you said about youth hockey, go to Toronto, and is it that the junior Canadians have the best coach, or the Marlies have the best coach, or the best development system, or is it that they have the best pockets to pick from and everyone wants to go there because of that? So, and this goes to, I might go off tangent here, but this goes to,
I like it though.
This goes to something I noticed. So over the holiday, I was posting some videos of just like on the coaches board, just like people ask me questions about kind of shit like this all the time. They ask us all the time about stuff. So I made a bunch in advance just over the holiday, so I had stuff to post through those days. And all those videos are like popping off. Like everybody's really into the chalk talk type videos. And I'm not saying anything that's
you didn't
more than
reinvent the
basic.
wheel.
No.
No.
So and it was funny because one guy on a couple of the videos was commenting, like making fun of me for posting these videos. Like, wow, dude, you're real smart, like chirping my videos because of how basic it is. And I'm like, I know, like this is literally basic stuff. And other comments I'm getting are like, this is amazing. No one in our association teaches us this stuff. No one's telling us how to do this. Everyone just expects that we know it. And this is coming from parents, from players, from coaches, from everybody. And it's really interesting because here we are in Canada, is supposed to be the powerhouse premier hockey center in the world. And I got people commenting like, my kid in their AAA loop doesn't know what the winger should do on the breakout. So again, to your point about the development system, it's like, how are we teaching kids? Like, how are we teaching kids what to do, how to play the game, how to think the game, and what are we focusing on? Have we just gotten comfortable because we have been the best since the end of the Soviet era, I guess, right? Where Canada's really been the top dog and the US has been nipping on their heels the whole time. But after the Soviet Union, it's been Canada basically in hockey.
And Russia has been good too.
They've been good.
Czech had a couple of years, Sweden, and they're always in there.
But I'm saying like year over year. It's like Canada is the favorite. Like that's what it is. The US now is also a favorite, right?
Oh, I think the US is good.
Right. So like that's my thing is like, have we just got complacent with what we're able to do because we have the population? Like, do we need to reinvent? And to be totally honest, like the system of minor hockey, I'll speak for Ontario at least, but we get complaints from everywhere. Like I got people from BC, I got people from Manitoba, I got people from out east. Like I got a kid I'm meeting with next week from out east playing AAA, trying to figure out how to get to higher levels and stuff. And all of them are have the same complaints. It's the same complaints. It's like our board doesn't have any idea how to develop the players. And people like to complain, and it's easy to point fingers. So that's one thing also. But I notice in our area, like if I look at our AAA centers around here, it's like I don't know what anyone is doing to try to make things better over time. It just seems like status quo is what everyone kind of goes for. And the people that are in charge of making decisions, I don't even know who they are, but it just seems like there's no effort into pushing things forward. Where you look at a Sweden, you look at a Finland, you look at Czech, and like you said, they have their club teams or whatever. They have a system. It's like everyone's buying into the system. It's almost like soccer. We've talked about that before.
Well, it becomes very important, right? It becomes like when you look at how we do it in North America, it does the OHL, like the Canadian Hockey League or the NHL, care what the Pee Wee team is doing? Whereas if you do have a club system like the soccer does, or like they do in Europe, well, it's actually important.
Yeah.
So this is the way we play. This is where you're going. We're hoping that you're going to be one of our players in 8 years, or whatever, how many years. So it's actually important that the coaches coach and teach, and you learn systems and skill and all that stuff. It's an interesting thing to break down.
Oh yeah, because you look just from the coaching standpoint, even like knowing on the backside what it takes to try to get coaches and try to get people to do, just to come and coach your team at whatever age. It's like if there isn't a top down like system of what we're trying to do, then it'd be like any company or any organization. It's like if the layers underneath, you don't know what they're doing or working on, by the time they get up to the top, it's just going to be a mess, which is what unfortunately, a lot of youth hockey is now, um, because it's just gotten all other, not all, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of other hockey countries or countries that take hockey seriously, they've had to try to catch up. So what does that mean when you have to try to catch up? Like you have to innovate. You have to try to do things different ways. You have to try different systems to see what works. And then now you have like Russia, Finland, Sweden, Czech, Swiss. Usually they don't do great, but the odd time they have a good
They're
team.
coming, man.
Yeah, Germany's now they're up in the
Yeah.
tournaments now. They're not they get smacked, but they're coming.
Yeah.
And
Slovakia.
yeah. So what
They're
are they?
producing first round picks. Germany is
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So what do they have to try to catch up. They have to make up for those gaps because they don't have the population. So in all this time of, the last, whatever, 20 years, let's say, where they've been trying to reinvent their systems and figure out the best way to compete with Canada, with the US, they've had no choice but to figure out a system to make their players better because they don't have all these players. You can't just take Celebrini from Boston, or you can't just take whatever other guy from the Western League when you have a tournament and you just throw a super team together and you guys will probably be okay. It's like they don't have that luxury. They might have a couple guys that they can pull from, but the rest of their team has to be brought up in a system where they are bought into a certain style of play. Otherwise, they're going to go against the powerhouse and get smacked just because of the firepower thing, just because of that reason alone. So now they can actually come and outplay or out system or whatever, and so that there's something to be said about that for sure.